Hey there guys, it's Tina and I'm back. And I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe. If you're also back, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again. But if you're new and maybe you like what you see, please consider subscribing. We have tons of fun here on this channel talking about makeup and all things beauty. And in today's video, we are getting into a foundation review, demo, and wear test featuring the brand new KVD Beauty Good Apple Full Coverage Serum Foundation. Say that 5 times fast, because if you do, you might bite your tongue, because I actually kind of bit my tongue. You didn't see that because I edited it out. However, we are testing out this new foundation. It's new to the market, and it is an extension of the KVD Beauty Good Apple line. You may be aware of their viral Good Apple Balm Foundation that released a couple of years ago. People went crazy over that foundation, and now they've released the new liquid version of that foundation. So I wanted to go ahead and grab it, try it out for you guys, because it is touted as being perfect for oily skin. So if you want to hear my thoughts about this foundation mixed in with a product demo and wear test, then stay tuned and let's get right into it, starting out with the product details. Alright guys, so as usual, we're starting off with a clean, freshly washed face. I did fill in my eyebrows and I applied some mascara and a little bit of my MAC Lane Low Paint Pot on my eyelids to even them out, but otherwise my skin is completely bare. I'm not even wearing moisturizer. So here you have it, and I'm having a little breakout. So this is in the midst of healing right now. So we're just gonna say hi and let her have her moment, okay? So let's talk about this foundation. So as I mentioned, this is the KVD Beauty Good Apple Full Coverage Serum Foundation. It retails for $42 and contains the usual 30 milliliters or 1 fluid ounce of product. It was made in Italy and has an intended usage life of 12 months, which is usual for liquid and cream products. There are 40 shades available with varying undertones. We have cool, pink, warm, terracotta, sienna. There are so many shade descriptions for each of the shades that are available that it is quite tricky to pick your shade match. Hence, I ended up with 3 different shades. And this is not typical for me. I'm usually able to narrow my shade match down to a single shade or 2. This time around, I had quite a struggle. So I did end up with 3 shades, and I think I found a pretty good match. So you'll see that once I start applying this product to my skin. The gradient also looks pretty decent, even though it's kind of scrambled on the Sephora website. There are categories of light, medium, tan, and deep for the shade range. And as I mentioned, there are various undertones. And I think that KVD Beauty tends to do a pretty decent shade range and span a gradient of skin tones. However, I feel like this one may be lacking in certain spots. I don't see a lot of like dark tan shades or darker shades, and very few rich, deep shades. Even the lighter shades don't seem to be that expansive either. So it seems like a shade range that almost lands squarely in the middle of the spectrum. So we don't have really, really light shades and we don't have really, really deep shades, but we have a mix of medium tan and darker shades, if that makes sense. So like I said, 3 shades I went ahead and picked up, and I'll swatch them out so you can see what they look like on my skin tone. So the lightest shade I picked up is Tan 66, which is for medium to tan skin with cool undertones. And this one doesn't read very cool, so there are no real pink or red undertones to it. It gives more of a beige look on my skin, and it actually blends in pretty well, so I don't think this is necessarily a strongly cool foundation. Then we have Tan 68. This one is for tan skin with warm undertones, and it does have that warmer peach lean-in undertone to it, even a little bit more on the golden side. And then the deepest shade I picked up is Tan 72. This is for tan to deep skin with neutral bronze undertones. And this one I knew would be a little bit too rich for me, but that neutral tan undertone was what really pulled me in. I figured I can probably mix it with another shade to lighten it up if I need to, but at least the undertone would match. Let's also go ahead and look at the packaging, which as usual for KVD Beauty, it's a little bit different than anything else on the current market scene. This is a glass bottle. It doesn't seem to be frosted. It seems like a pretty clear glass bottle with a black cap, and the KVD logo is located on the front of the cap in gold. Now, what makes this bottle unique is that it is not square, it is not oval, it is not cylindrical. It is a rectangular shape with beveled edges. It's quite interesting, and they also have some embossing on the bottle and the cap that is that signature kind of gothic style detailing that is usual again for KVD Beauty. I think the packaging is pretty neat. Inside we have a black pump that is very slender and sleek, and on the bottom we have a black label with some product details and the shade number. Now let's go into the product details and claims, because of course those are what we're going to use to judge this foundation. So I'm going directly to the KVD Beauty website. I'm reading directly from the horse's mouth. So it says here, Good Apple Serum Foundation is a real mind fuck. I don't know like what's going on with the marketing, why they felt like they had to use that word, but I mean, they added a little asterisk to pretend it's not a curse word. Anyway, full coverage with a natural finish, transfer proof, extreme long wear with a lightweight serum feel. It covers everything from blemishes to acne scars, hyperpigmentation, discoloration, and more. You've never seen natural full coverage like this. That already sounds very exciting. Let's pop up the claims on the website. So first up, it has maximum coverage while also having a minimum weight. Infused with apple extract, it's got their iconic Good Apple full coverage with an undetectable serum-light feel. It also says transfer proof, extreme long wear. So it has high performance wear that stands up to sweat and humidity. Pore-Blurring natural finish, which is best for combo to oily skin. Perfect for me, thank you. But anyone can wear it. Quince leaf extract helps keep shine in check instantly and all day. Flexible elastomer pigments, Good Apple blends plus bends with your skin for a seamless finish plus easy application every time. Luxe recyclable glass bottle. The pump is designed to cut down on foundation waste, so you only use what you need. It has a versatile modern formula in 40 shades that play well with whatever you put over or under it. Non-comedogenic and flashback free, 100% vegan and cruelty free. And as I mentioned, I did have some trouble finding my exact shade match. So they say here, know your Good Apple foundation balm shade, start there. You may need to try a new shade due to differences in the formulas, which ended up being the case for me. Let Good Apple Serum Foundation dry down to see its true color. So it does set down a little bit deeper and richer than when it is initially applied. And it also mentions that it has a fully custom coverage. So shake well before use, and then you can use a sponge to tap this onto your skin and build coverage where you need it. You can also use a dense foundation brush for more immediate full coverage. Use one pump for buildable full coverage and 2 pumps for instant full coverage. And I think we should also look at the ingredient list. So let's pop it up here. So the key ingredients that they mentioned before were Quince leaf extract, which helps keep shine in check instantly plus all day, and nourishing apple extract plus glycerin, which helps keep skin looking fresh. The other ingredients include water, which is typical, and then dimethicone is the second ingredient. So this is a silicone-based foundation. We have glycerin, some more dimethicone, and that apple fruit extract that they mention. Some ingredients for slip and blendability. All right, so let's go ahead and apply this foundation to see if it lives up to all the claims that they made. And I'm very curious because I love a proper full coverage foundation that gives me the option to build it but it also claims that it keeps my shine at bay. Sign me up, okay? I am ready. So, like I said, 3 shades. So I'm going to zoom in a bit and swatch all 3 shades so you can see what it looks like on my skin. But before we do that, let me go ahead and show you what my skin looks like up close and personal. I have oily combination skin, but I would consider myself to just get oily all over. I get shiny within 2 hours of wearing foundation or just existing in life. My skin is just a oil producing maniac. And I do have enlarged pores around my T-zone area. So on the sides of my nose, by my cheek, and in my forehead area, those pores just get accentuated by life and just, like I said, existing in this world. I also have hyperpigmentation around my mouth and some acne scarring here or there. And like I said, there is a little culprit that is now in the healing stages. So we'll see how this foundation really holds up to all those claims about covering hyperpigmentation and acne scars. But overall, I have pretty decent skin. It's not dehydrated. I don't have dry spots. Like I said, I'm pretty oily all around, but I do have normal skin under my eyes, which is funny because when I do these wear tests and I do check-ins, you'll see my under eyes look completely different from the rest of my skin. My under eyes tend to stay pretty matte, pretty normal throughout wear, but then the rest of my skin will get shiny and dewy. So I have to blot. But let's go ahead and swatch these shades out. So like I said, I have 66, 68, and 70. Here we have shade 66. Like I said, it really doesn't have cool undertones. It's more on the beige side, leaning even a little bit on the golden side, which is interesting. Then here is 68, which is a warm undertone shade. And you can see it does have that more peachy, lean-in golden undertone to it as well. Then we have 72. This is the bronze shade with that neutral undertone. And this is the one that I thought would be the best undertone match, but it would be just slightly deeper than my skin. And swatching them out, you can see the gradient. So we have that light beige, a golden shade, and then this deeper tone. But they do say to blend them out and let it dry a little bit on your skin before deciding like which shade is your shade match. This is so awkward because I'm using my viewfinder to blend these out. But let's blend them out. I'm going to allow them to dry a bit on my skin, and then you'll see what these shades look like on my skin tone once they settle in for the ride. All right, so I let the foundation swatches sit for a few minutes, and now you can see that they've deepened a little bit. This shade here, 66, way too light, right? Way too beige, not my shade match. The second shade, 68, actually looks like it could work. It's a little bit warmer than I would like. I would have preferred it be a little bit more neutral, but it's doable. And then 72, you can see, got really deep. So it's too dark for my skin tone. I thought originally it would work, but as you see, it settled down a bit, and now it reads a lot darker. So the shade we're going to use is 68, I think is our best bet. I'm not going to mix the shades as I did in a Get Ready With Me video. If you want to see me mix these 2 shades, then check that out. But for now, we're gonna use 68, which I think is a pretty decent match. All right, so let's do this with 1 pump of the foundation, 1 pump for decent coverage, 2 pumps for more full coverage. I might need 2 pumps because I'm gonna use a fresh brush. This is from Anissa Beauty. It's their Pinnacle Foundation brush, and I love it because it just works. It's synthetic, it's soft, it blurs and buffs foundation really well, and it's, like they said, a dense foundation brush. So I'm just gonna blend that on one side of my skin. It feels very lightweight. You barely feel it on your skin, which I'm telling you, foundation technology has really improved. Full coverage foundations used to feel like death on your skin. They used to be so heavy. They felt so tight. You could definitely feel that you were wearing foundation. But these days, they're giving you coverage without that heavyweight feel, which I appreciate. And this is blending really well. Like I said, I think this match is really good. All right, that was one pump. I used it up. Like I said, the brush doesn't have any product on it, so it's going to absorb some of the product. So I wouldn't even say I've used the full pump yet. So let's continue blending, and I'll build up the coverage as well. See how it builds and layers up. Oh my goodness. Okay, this shade match, I am so happy I went ahead and said let me try 68, even though I wasn't able to see it in store. I just went with the middle shade since I'd already picked up 66 and 72 that were both too light and too dark, you know, respectively. So I figured 68 may be a go for me. And so far, I think the shade match is really good. It's blending really nicely. It's definitely a matte finish. I didn't moisturize or prime. They do recommend using a pore filling primer if you have enlarged pores, but I didn't want to do that right away. I want to test this foundation out on its own. That, oh my god, that I think looks pretty good. Again, it blends out pretty nicely. And I think the coverage, this is like a full medium coverage for sure. It covered up. You see my little spot? She's being covered up. She's not like out and bold anymore, but she can probably do with a little bit more concealing. Let's apply a little bit of what's left around my mouth. Another Anissa Beauty brush. This is their concealer brush. Let's see what that does. It does conceal a bit around my mouth, and it definitely covered up that little acne spot. Okay, coverage, I definitely agree. That is beautiful coverage. Now for hyperpigmentation, if you don't color correct, you're probably gonna still see the shadowing on your skin, which I don't mind. I don't need to blank out my skin, but it's not gonna cover intense hyperpigmentation. It will kind of blur it a bit and even it out, but it's not gonna cover it completely, as you can see. But it covered up that little spot, right? This looks really good. I am so far impressed. Let me use a little bit of their concealer for under my eyes because, whoo, child, under my eyes. So for this, I have Tan 161, which is a lighter shade. And then I also have Tan 167, which is a richer, deeper shade. And I just mixed the two, and we'll just blend that out really quickly. This is also like a serum concealer, so it's thin, lightweight, full coverage, and I do like the concealer. I haven't been using it lately. I've been using my thicker, creamier concealers, but this one also works pretty well. Because this is supposed to have more of a matte, natural finish, I am not going to set my skin. And it does say it helps control oil, so I'm not gonna do anything more. So let me show you what my skin looked like before and now after applying this foundation. This coverage is really beautiful. This is a full coverage foundation that I would be happy with wearing because it feels so lightweight. The foundation blended out really well, glided over my skin, and I'm sure if I used moisturizer or a primer, it would glide even better. But there was no dragging. It doesn't feel dry. It's not caking up. It layered really well, and it gave me time to blend it out. So as it stands right now, I do agree that it feels very lightweight, and it does give pretty decent full coverage. Maybe like a medium full coverage. You can layer it up if you want to, but I am not going to layer it up. I think this coverage is good enough for me, and the more you layer it, the more it's gonna look like foundation, so I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just have this pretty decent, solid, medium full coverage foundation. Let me do a close-up check. Yep, this foundation looks really great. It's not really blurring my pores per se, but it's not emphasizing them at all. It does look like I'm wearing foundation. It doesn't look completely seamless, but it doesn't look heavy or cakey. It's not settling into any lines. And like I said, the shade match is working really well for me. So time check, it is currently 3:47. I'm going to show you how this looks outside in natural daylight. And then, of course, we're going to do a check-in later today after it wears a bit. So right now, I'm pretty happy. Let me go outside and get some natural daylight on the skin and show you what it looks like both in my iPhone camera that betrays me and in my regular camera. All right, so I am out in the sun and I'm gonna give you the golden hour view. Looks very pretty. Let me get out of the sun. Oh my God, adjust the lighting. So here you have it. I think it looks pretty good. If I do say so myself, what do you guys think? I think it looks really beautiful. My skin looks healthy. Yeah, I do think this foundation looks great. But now let's see what it looks like with the iPhone camera, which may betray me. All right, so here you have it, iPhone camera, which is gonna betray me like I said. You can see my pores. This is not how my pores look. This is just extra, right? It's the front-facing camera, but I think my skin still looks pretty good considering. Let me get some sun. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It doesn't look too matte either. It just looks like healthy skin. So we're gonna see how this wears throughout the day. So I will see you guys in a few hours. All right, it is 6:35 and we've had this foundation on for over 2.5 hours, pushing close to 3 hours, all right? And this is the time I like to check in for any foundation that says it's long wearing, as this touts itself to be. So this literally says, and I will repeat it, extreme long wear. It helps to keep shine in check instantly and all day. And let me tell you right now, that is not what is happening, okay? Let's do a little zoomity zoom in so you can see. Do you see how oily my nose is? Listen, no foundation holds up to this nose, okay? My nose will defeat any matte longwear foundation claims. It's like, oh, you thought. So expectations nil when it comes to holding up around my nose. But let's check the rest of my skin. It looks pretty nice. It doesn't look all matte anymore. Remember, I didn't powder anything. It just looks like a natural glow. And I'm sure a lot of dry skin people, probably even normal skin people, would be happy with this natural glow. You guys probably add highlighter and all the dewy products to get to this. This is not my preferred look, but it doesn't look bad. So this foundation is holding up pretty decently, I would say. But one thing I forgot to check before we actually ran off and did our thing for the day was the transfer proof claim. Now I have my paper towel and I'm just going to press it against my cheek, not where I'm oily, and there is some transfer. Now here's the thing. My oils started to break through, which means it's starting to break down the foundation. So there's going to be transfer. I use oil to remove my makeup, so it makes sense that my natural oils will start breaking up some of this foundation. But I don't mind that so much. There's barely any foundation transfer, okay? This is, I would say, acceptable for a foundation that claims to be transfer proof. Let's go ahead and do the rest of my face. Oh my goodness. When I press around my nose, a lot comes off, okay? As that's where I'm the most oily. Makes sense. But I would normally blot away oils throughout the day anyway. And that's the amount of foundation that came off. Let me go ahead and pop in the before and after so you can see what it looks like when I initially apply the foundation versus this 2.5 hours going on 3 hours in. You can see I definitely got shiny, But the foundation hasn't split up, it hasn't separated, it hasn't settled into lines. It's not settling into my smile lines, it's not settling into my frown lines. It still looks good, I just look more oily, more greasy, a little bit more glowy, but it's not like frying pan level of grease just yet. However, I was expecting it to hold up a little bit longer since it has that long wear claim and it's gonna keep shine at bay and all these things. It's best for normal combination skin. I really expected it to hold up a lot better and a lot longer, but it did not. However, I still like how it looks. It looks very pretty. And again, nothing has settled into lines, so it doesn't look heavy and cakey. In fact, it almost looks a little bit better now that it's warmed up to my skin. It looks less makeup-like. Let me zoom in right now. You've already seen the up-close shot, but I want to show you what it looks like. Remember my little pimple? She's still not coming through all aggressively, so I like how it looks. I like how it's wearing. I would prefer it be more long wearing, but I'm gonna step back, film another video, and then come back and do another check-in in a couple of hours just to see how things are faring after we have blotted. Remember, no primer, no powder. So I'm sure if I did all those additional steps that I normally do, I can get better wear time out of this foundation, but I want to see what it does on its own. So I will see you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, time for another check-in. So I just finished filming another video. So I've been under studio lights and all. It's not really studio lights, all right? They're just my glam core lights. I don't have like light boxes and all that. It's not my jam. It's 9 o'clock. So we've had this on since 3:45. But really like 3:30 is when we really started like, you know, doing the most with it. So we're over the 5-hour mark with this foundation, getting close to 5.5 hours. I blotted around 6:30. So since then it's been like 2.5 hours, all right? So let's check in and see what's going on, all right? Let's see. The foundation has honestly held up pretty well. I have not blotted further, no powder, and I was tempted to do that because I was filming another video. But the glow looks so pretty. It looks so healthy, right? I didn't have to add like a glowy primer to get this finish on my skin. This is just my skin having fun with itself. Having fun with itself, whatever. It's just my skin, right? But this foundation, it hasn't controlled oil completely, but I think it's controlled it to the point where it looks pretty. It looks very natural. It doesn't look greasy, which is all I can really ask for from a foundation because I have really oily skin, so I'm gonna get oily, all right? Nothing's gonna stop that. All I ask is that the foundation holds up to the oils and doesn't just melt off my face. So it looks very pretty. It's not melting off my face. Nothing is settling into lines. There's no separation. It does look a little bit like worn in makeup though. It doesn't look completely like natural skin, but it still looks good and this is acceptable for me. It's not the most long wearing foundation, which I expected because they did say it's ultra long wearing. I don't think it lives up to that claim. It also doesn't live up to the transfer proof claim either. It does transfer a bit, and remember we did the blotting. Let's try some more blotting and see what happens. Yeah, it's still transferring. So it's not transfer proof, but it's transfer resistant. It's not just gonna come off on your clothing or come off if you hug someone. But if you have oily skin like me, as it warms up to your skin, it will transfer a little bit, okay? So those claims, it doesn't quite live up to, but it does live up to the coverage claim as far as I'm concerned. It's a great coverage. It's like a high, medium to full coverage, and it does feel very lightweight and comfortable. This does not feel heavy on the skin at all. It blended really easily. It feels very comfortable. I would wear this again and again and again, but I would wear it with a primer and then with powder just to get the ultimate finish on my skin and to extend the wear. But overall, I think it's a nice foundation if you wanted to try it out. I, of course, will finish up this review after testing it out a few more times because I really want to get a good feel for the foundation before I give you my final thoughts. But here's the check-in. 5 hours of wear, a bit over 5 hours, getting close to 5.5 hours. Again, that long wear claim, it doesn't really live up to, but as far as looking good at this point in wear, I think it's doing pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. Let me show you the before and after for the wear test. You'll see the coverage is there, the finish is beautiful. It definitely is a nice foundation. It applies well, again, blends out really nicely on the skin. And let's show you the initial application versus my 3.5 hour check-in. You see that I got greasy, I got oily, but I was able to blot it down and refresh my skin a bit, which is usual for me with my oily skin. With this foundation, I expected it to last a little bit more than that 3 hours. My face started getting oily about that 3 hour mark, so for the long wear claim, I expected this to just get oily a little bit later in the day. But okay, it's just to me a normal wear foundation. And now at the 5 hour mark, I still think it looks pretty. It hasn't split, it hasn't separated, there's no settling into lines. It has controlled my oils pretty well. I still do look glowy, but it's like a natural glow after I blotted. So it's a foundation that is easy to touch up and I still think it looks pretty good, but that long wear claim is definitely out the door right now. But overall, I still think it's a nice foundation, so let me go ahead and finish up with my final thoughts after testing this out a few more times. Alright, so now that you guys have seen the demo and the wear test and you've heard all the details about the product, let's go ahead and wrap up with my final thoughts and review. And it's been a few days, so I've had a chance to test this foundation out a few different ways, using different application methods, different primers. Like, I mixed it up to really test this foundation out so I can give you some tried and true final thoughts. I even went ahead and picked up the KVD Lock It Pore Refining Primer to try it out with the foundation. And you know what? I'll give you my thoughts about this as well. But let's jump into the foundation, starting off with the price point. As I already mentioned, this foundation retails for $42 for the regular 1 fluid ounce of product, and that is actually in line with the majority of mid-range brands on the market, including like the Makeup by Mario foundation that also recently launched. That's $42. The Kosas Revealer foundation is also $42, but we have other higher price points like House Labs, that's $45. Charlotte Tilbury is $49. The NARS Soft Matte Complete Foundation is also $42. Too Faced Born This Way is $45. So as you can see, it's in line with those price points in the $40 range for these mid-end brands. Now, there are obviously going to be foundations that are much cheaper, but I think the price is in line with where the brand lands in the market. It's up to you whether or not $42 is worth it for a liquid foundation. It is full coverage, so a little bit will go a long way, so you might get more use out of it than a lighter coverage foundation that you will end up using more of. And with that being said, let's jump into the packaging, because the packaging also plays into how much foundation you will actually use. So the packaging, it's beautiful. I love it. It fits with the aesthetic of the KVD brand, but it's very simple. It's very sleek. And I like it. I like the beveled edges of the bottle. The bottle is a rectangular shape. It's not the usual cylindrical shape that we're used to from other brands with liquid foundations. It's a little bit different, and I like that for KVD Beauty because they've always been a little bit different. Even with the original creator out of the picture, it's still living up to that aesthetic. So I like the packaging. But I wanted to mention the pump specifically, which they do say is meant to control the amount of product that you dispense. And that is true. And that is what I mean by you might get more use out of this foundation, because you're gonna dispense less product. Using this really streamlined thin pump, you're not going to dispense a ton of product in a single pump, which again will extend the use of this product because you're not gonna pump out too much. You don't need a lot of product because a little goes a long way. So you're gonna get a longer usage life out of this product and essentially get your money's worth. So Love the packaging, and the price point, again, it's up to you whether you think it's worth it. As far as purchasing goes, this foundation is available through the Sephora website as well as in store. It's also available through the Ulta website as well as in store, and you can also buy it on the KVD Beauty website. There may be other retailers that carry this brand, but I think it's great that it's available at both Ulta and Sephora. So if you have any of those stores close to you, you can go in and get your shade match, which is something that you have to keep in mind for this foundation. It has a decent shade range at 40 shades, but because it is full coverage, you're going to need to get an almost spot on shade match. So it's best to see it in store. Get a sample, get shade matched if you can. Try it out in different lighting to make sure that it matches, because like I said, full coverage, so you're gonna need a pretty decent shade match. So I think purchasing this, the accessibility, I think it's pretty well done. Again, it's available to the majority of people that have an Ulta or Sephora close to them, but you can always purchase it online as well. But I know you guys wanna hear about the product and the performance, because after all, that's what we're here for. All right, so you saw the demonstration, you saw the wear test, and I read you all the claims about the foundation. So we'll tackle each of them one by one. So the first claim is that it gives you maximum coverage with minimum weight, which I will agree with. It's a nice medium full coverage foundation. I wouldn't call it like full on blank out your skin full coverage, but it does have a solid full coverage to it. It covers a lot of discoloration, hyperpigmentation, but it won't cover up those really troublesome spots. I feel the need to still go around my mouth with like a color corrector just to make sure I don't get any shadowing from my hyperpigmentation. And that's just something that happens when you have that darkness like around your mouth or under your eyes. A full coverage foundation will cover it, but you'll still see a little bit of shadowing under it. So I'll just go in with a color corrector or a concealer to add a little bit more coverage in those areas. And I prefer to use a concealer under my eyes anyway, so it doesn't bother me. But this is a solid full coverage, and it does feel very lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel tight. I'm wearing it right now, and I can't tell that I'm wearing a full coverage foundation. I can tell that I'm wearing foundation, like I feel it a little bit. Like if you're used to wearing foundation, you probably won't even be able to discern that you're wearing full coverage. Like it just feels like regular foundation. It doesn't feel heavy or tight. So agree with that first claim. The transfer proof extreme longwear. Okay, here's where I disagree. Transfer proof? No. Okay, to me it's not even transfer resistant at this point. It transfers the same as any other liquid foundation. If you rub your face, it's going to transfer. If you hug someone really tight, it's going to transfer. If you pull your clothes over your face, it's going to transfer. But if you simply like touch your skin, it won't transfer. If you simply hug someone lightly, it's not going to transfer. So it's like, what do you expect at this point? All right, manage your expectations. It's not completely budge proof, smudge proof. It does transfer if you rub at your skin. But if you're used to just walking around existing in foundation, then you're going to be fine with this foundation. It won't just transfer incidentally. Transfer resistant, yeah, I'll give it that, but transfer proof, no. And then the long wear claim, okay? Not only does it say long wear, it says extreme long wear. And no, don't do that. Don't do that. Not for me. Don't do that, okay? It wears as well as any other long wearing foundation on me. Does that make sense? It's not a foundation that I would say fades away. It's not gonna fade away. Like, where's your foundation gonna go? Where does foundation go? Like, what fade resistance are they talking about? Does it just evaporate? I don't understand that fade resistant. It doesn't fade away, but I don't consider it extreme long wear because my face needs to be touched up, blotted within 2 to 3 hours, which I wouldn't expect given that it says extreme long wear. You know what I'm saying? It also claims to have this pore-blurring natural finish that's best for combo and oily skin because it has that Quince leaf extract that helps to keep shine in check instantly and all day. Lies. Lies. Whoo! You saw from the wear test. Within 2 to 3 hours, I'm shiny, okay? I am shiny. Let's not play with that. I got shiny. And like I said, for something that claims to be best for oily combination and to have extreme long wear, it should have held up a little bit longer than 2.5, 3 hours. With such a claim, I expect to stay pretty matte until like hour 5 or 6. This one, no, it got shiny, which is not a bad thing, all right? I will blot, I will wear a pore filling primer, I will mattify with a powder. It's not a big deal for me, but you need to know that going in, that this foundation on its own is not going to control shine if you have really oily skin like I do, all right? So manage your expectations. Again, it says it blends and bends with your skin for a seamless finish and easy application every time. Agreed. Agreed. It was really easy to apply. It does kind of mesh with your skin really well. And that was kind of a surprise to me because like I said, full coverage foundation tends to feel heavy, tight, whatever. This feels comfortable for a full coverage foundation and it kind of blends in really easily without looking like I'm wearing a mask. Full coverage foundation can sometimes look like you painted it on, like it's shellacked on. This looks like I'm wearing makeup, okay? It's not going to trick you at all. It's not seamless, no makeup. It looks like I'm wearing makeup, but it looks like I'm wearing really great makeup. The finish is beautiful, all right? It is a natural finish. It's not a flat matte. It doesn't look like you just painted your walls. It looks beautiful. It looks natural, but it looks like perfected skin. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't settle into lines. It doesn't get crepey or cakey. It looks good. So I do agree with that like seamless finish on your skin. And if you get your perfect match, which I think I was kind of able to do surprisingly, and I picked a shade that I didn't expect to pick. Like this shade, Tan 68, says it's for tan skin with warm undertones. I wouldn't consider myself to have like full-on warm undertones. I have more golden leaning undertones, but I very neutral. So I didn't expect this shade to work, but it really did. So you may be able to find your perfect match. It's going to give you full coverage, right? Like perfect skin. Apply a primer though, which is where this primer comes in. I'm wearing this primer right now. Again, this is the Lock-It Pore Refining Primer. This one is $34 for 30 milliliters, so the 1 fluid ounce. It seems a little steep for the price point, but you get the full ounce of product and you just need a little bit of this to apply to the areas of your skin that gets very oily or where you have enlarged pores. This really smooths out the skin. The main ingredients are silicone, but it doesn't feel like a slippy silicone. It in fact almost dries down a bit. So it feels like a gel-like formula that sets on your skin, and then you apply your foundation and it blends seamlessly, and it helps to control that shine that we wanted the foundation to do on its own. So if you wear this foundation with a primer and powder, it does last a lot longer. But on its own, that's where I think the claims go a little bit too far, you know? I see what you wanted to say and I get it. You wanted to make all these claims, but they're not true just based on my experience with my oily skin. It did not keep the shine at bay. No. It needed extra help, and that's fine by me. I don't expect a lot of foundations to go the full 9 yards when it comes to holding my oils at bay. But I wish the claims weren't so explicit, you know, because then I'm expecting it and then it didn't happen. But overall, I do like the foundation. I think it wears beautifully for a full coverage foundation. Again, it feels very comfortable. It's lightweight. I have beautiful coverage. Like, look at my skin. And you saw my skin in natural daylight. I look so perfected and beautiful. It's stunning. Now in really bad lighting, you can still see my pores, but I'm telling you right now, it looks good. It does look good. It feels good. And I think I got a great match, and it really did melt with my skin and it wears very well. Now, I will warn you, if you have dry skin, this might not be the best for you. It is recommended for oily combination skin. I don't think you can't use it. It's just you're gonna have to really moisturize your skin if you want to use this foundation, which again, you probably already do anyway. If you have dry skin, you probably already have this whole skin prep routine down before you put on makeup. So it may not be out your wheelhouse. I'm just saying, just be aware that you're gonna need to really moisturize your skin, because for me, it does have more of a natural matte finish, which I appreciate. So overall, I like this foundation. It wouldn't be my go-to foundation because I have other foundations that are like a full medium that I prefer just how they feel and how they control my oil. Given that this one doesn't exactly beat those out with oil control, this one will still be in my rotation. I will still wear it on special occasions. I will wear it when I want a full beat, but I wouldn't wear it for everyday use. Does that make sense? It's one of those foundations that you reserve for when you really, really want to wear makeup. You know what I mean? Because after all, it's not claiming to give you clean girl skin or that no makeup look, right? It is a full coverage foundation and it lives up to the lightweight feel, the full coverage, just not that shine control, and it's transfer resistant enough. Long wearing, I wouldn't go that far, but you can blot and refresh it, so it wears really well. It's just that the shine control, you're not gonna get away with not setting it down and not wearing a primer with it if you want to really get long wear from this foundation. So overall, I like it. I'm not in love with it just based on the claims, and it's not knocking any of my favorite foundations out of their ranking, but I like it. I like it enough. So if you wanted to try it out, I say go ahead if you have combination oily skin and you're looking for a full coverage foundation. If you have dry skin but you want a full coverage foundation, just really, really, really moisturize your skin and prep your skin before using it. But if you're looking for an everyday foundation, this may not be it for you. So hopefully this review, demo, and wear test helped you guys out to see how the foundation applies and wears throughout the day if you were considering picking this up. I will go ahead and leave links to Sephora and Ulta where you can pick this up. Those will be affiliate links, which means I will get a small sales commission if you make a purchase through those links. It's a great way to show your support for the channel because it gives me a kickback, but it doesn't change the sale price. If you're not comfortable with that, just shop the way you normally shop. No muss, no fuss. I'm still happy you're here watching. You can go ahead and leave me a comment because that also helps out my channel. I also have super thanks and channel memberships, which are my version of a tip jar, and that gives you a chance to contribute to the channel in case you like my content. I will also leave links to my Instagram and Twitter where you should be following me along. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I hope this was helpful. Bye guys.